What about some of the two Indians?
The Indians.
What Indians?
I don't know how you say Indianans, but that's
Indianans.
Maybe. I doubt it.
San Diegans.
San Diego.
San Diego.
Oh man, I can't wait for the second one to come out.
When I saw
It's gonna be a doozy.
When I saw This Is the End, they had a new trailer for Anchorman 2 in front of it.
You alright, Wilson? We gonna get through this together?
I'm good. I've been sick, and I'm just trying to get over it still.
That's good. I hope my Giggle box is turned on the whole time.
You go somewhere else other than the living room. This is why we can't have nice things.
God, I can't wait for, marriage.
That's what we're talking about. Welcome to 4FanSports.
Is anybody out there still? Does this thing still work? Hello,
Hi.
Welcome to the 4FanSports
Oh my God.
podcast. I'm Josh Wilson, and I am joined by the other founders of 4FanSports, Mr. Nick Rapier. Mr. Nick Rapier.
I don't know what to say, man.
Just hi.
Pause.
I don't know
Pause
what
for
to do with
effect.
my redo this.
Pause.
Nah, we're
Pause
gonna
for
leave
effect. No, that's perfect.
and Tyler Hobbs.
That was perfect.
All right. So let's talk about this game last night, guys.
Oh, mercy.
Good.
Oh, that's funny.
It's good to be back.
And
our first topic.
How stupid do you got to be if you're the Clippers to be that arrogant to say, hey, I love Eric Bledsoe just as much as the next guy because, we are Kentucky people. But let's be honest. You got a chance to get Doc Rivers, Chris Paul, Dwight Howard, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, all on the same team, coached by Doc Rivers. And you're not going to do it because you want to keep Eric Bledsoe. Let's be real for a second.
So
They came back to talks today.
right.
Yeah. So I don't think has there ever been any other instances where a coach has been traded?
I think there have been instances where it's not like the coach changes possession. I guess if you want to reference them as a possession, but where the coach was able to be let out of their contract.
Well, I mean, he's in the trade talks. He's mentioned in the trade.
Right. I've never heard of anything like it.
That's insane.
No, I don't think he's mentioned
But
in the
ESPN
trade. I think it's just understood that he's going with there too. I don't think it's
No, he's in the trade.
He's in the trade.
Yeah, he's in the trade.
I don't think so, guys.
Promise.
I don't believe so, but okay. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're just saying, we'll trade you these people and these people if you'll let him out of his contract. And then after they let him out of his contract, he's going to sign with them. But I don't know. Could be wrong.
I mean, that's basically what we're saying. After the trade, it will mean that Doc Rivers is the coach of the Clippers.
Right.
Regardless of how they do it, that's
But yeah, you can't trade a coach though. They're just saying, hey, we'll do this trade if you let him out of his contract.
Technically, you could trade a coach because they have a contract on them, just like they have contracts on players.
I don't think it works like that, man. Their contracts aren't the same as players' contracts.
Let's see here. This is the deal right here. Clippers center DeAndre Jordan would go to Boston, and 2 first-round picks will be needed to offer in order for the Celtics to agree to package and give up Garnett and the right for the Clippers to sign their coach.
Right, let him out of his contract. I mean, I guess what you guys were saying there is that he's going there as part of the trade, and yes, that's true.
Right.
But they're not like trading the players for Doc Rivers, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Which is I don't
think. Yeah. Right, but like, I don't mean like they're literally trading the players for a coach. I mean like, it's the understanding of what will occur.
It's pretty much going down like that, right? I get you.
Yeah.
Basically what it is they're saying, we'll trade you this player, and you'll trade us this player, and we'll give you first-round picks. And
you let this coach out, and he agrees to be our coach.
We're going to give you the right to sign him. You can sign him away from us, basically.
Right.
So, I mean, he's not being traded, but he's being traded.
Pretty much, yeah. I get what you're saying. Which is kind of cool.
It's kind of
pretty sweet.
The Celtics must be...
It says a lot about Doc.
Like, I don't understand what the Celtics are doing. Like, what are they trying to do here? The Celtics are losing
old.
Big time, man. I guess they're pretty much just...
But they're old, and they're trying to get young.
I think the thing is, the Celtics know that they're going to have a rebuild coming soon, and Doc Rivers doesn't want to be a part of it, so they might as well weave him into trying to get some future potential out of players, at least.
Yeah, I guess that has to be what they're doing, right? They're pretty much acknowledging we're rebuilding now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
DeAndre's on the up and up. Like, the only reason the Clippers...
He's on the up and up, but he's not crazy.
Like, just throw this thing out to keep Bledsoe is because the Lakers want Bledsoe as part of the Dwight Howard trade.
And let's be honest, the Clippers' first-round picks that they're going to be getting, I mean, if the Clippers get it their way and get all these players and Doc Rivers is maybe
they're not that good
picks, right? They're not going to be that good at picks. So, I mean, I don't really understand this from a Celtics point of view.
The reason why they're not sending Bledsoe to the Celtics is because they're trying to package Bledsoe with Blake Griffin to get Dwight Howard.
For Dwight, yes.
And I mean...
Which is fine.
If you want to look at it...
If that's the way you want to do it.
End up playing with a former Kentucky player, whichever way he goes.
True story.
Right. But here's my thing. Like, you don't even know. Like, I would love the trade anyways, because it's better to get something for Dwight than just lose him in free agency. I'd much rather get Blake Griffin and Eric Bledsoe for Dwight Howard rather than just come July 1st, him just not be on our team anymore.
Yeah,
I think and the Clippers, there's no way they could, get Dwight Howard if they still had those contracts on their roster. So
I think it's a great deal for Lakers because the Lakers essentially are trading away a player that doesn't want to be there. Sorry, excuse me.
Right. But in order for it to occur, in order for the Clippers to get Dwight and Chris Paul to be there, they would have to trade because they would have to do a sign trade because otherwise they can't take on that salary cap like Nick said.
What gets me is who on earth would want Dwight Howard right now? Like, he is the biggest baby in the NBA, bar none. Like, there's not even anyone in the same conversation as him.
Right, but you know what he is capable of. Like, I mean, what he did with the Lakers this year is far below his ceiling.
I mean, he put good numbers up, and he was on the same team as Kobe, and they never could click. And Steve Nash, he's old as shit. I mean, he can still play a little bit of basketball, and they didn't do anything, and they just looked ugly all year. Like, I don't understand. He never was much with the Magic, and they had some good teams. They weren't ever like the Heat or anything, but they could have been a lot better than they were. He just underperforms year in and year out. He's a teammate, and all he does is whine and complain to the media.
I'm with Nick on this one because pre-back surgery, Dwight Howard he was Defensive Player of the Year a couple of times. He was a great player, but post back surgery, Dwight Howard hasn't proved anything. The only thing he's proved is that he is a cancer to most teams that he's on.
I will agree with y'all to the sense, like, Blake Griffin, like, made the Clippers relevant. Like, he made them exciting. Made them, like, fun to watch in the NBA. But let's not fool around. Dwight Howard's better than Blake Griffin.
I'll agree with you that Dwight Howard is better than Blake Griffin. They also play two different positions. But Blake Griffin was a center out of necessity for the Clippers. He's more of a power forward, which,
No, he played power forward because DeAndre Jordan was center.
Yeah, so.
He was power forward.
What I'm saying, though, is at times he was a center out of necessity. Excuse me. But the thing is, this whole talk between Chris Paul and Dwight Howard, and they've been talking about this since before LeBron went to Miami. They've wanted to team up for forever, and that's all well and good. And right now, Dwight Howard's excited to play basketball again if he can play with Chris Paul. But what happens if they get out there and they start losing? Is Dwight Howard going to start bagging on Chris Paul? Is Dwight Howard going to start being injured again? Is Dwight Howard going to bag on the Clippers now? He hasn't really proved that when things get bad, he's willing to take the blame. When things go bad, Dwight Howard has consistently proved that he's going to push the buck off on someone else. So that's why I think the Lakers are going to get a better deal out of this, because the Lakers are getting Blake Griffin, who has more years in him than Dwight Howard does, and they're going to get Eric Bledsoe, who's already an inspired point guard who's learned from Chris Paul. Now he's going to get to learn from Steve Nash and Kobe Bryant. And, you got Jody Meeks, who has proved his worth on that team. The Lakers are not only building for right now, but for the future as well.
But like I said, if the Clippers want to hang on to Bledsoe for that purpose, that's fine. Because they want to package him to try and lure Dwight. Because, it's Chris Paul and Dwight Howard have made it blatantly clear they want to play together. I think we will all agree with that, because there's not really any choice but to agree with it. It's true. So they've both made it clear, so the Clippers would be smart to try and get Dwight, because that's what Chris Paul wants.
All right, guys. The question is.
So they do need to hold on to Bledsoe. So, what about that game last night?
It was quite the game.
Yes.
Quite the game.
Yes. I'm going to make a statement that is questionable. But that span of the no headband LeBron was one of the most impressive spans by an athlete that I've ever seen.
I don't know if I'd go most impressive spans I've ever seen, but it was definitely.
You'd be hard pressed to find something better.
Really? You've seen Jody Meeks going for 50. Come on. I could name a few off the top of my head that are better, man.
We're talking that was against a Tennessee game that was completely irrelevant. We're talking Game 6 with your team at home losing.
Bo Jackson 3 home runs in a World Series. There's all kinds. It was great. No, don't get me wrong.
That wasn't
a
span. That wasn't a span. That was a game. Wasn't a span.
But you only
I'm talking about one span where a player elevates his game. Let me talk. Where a player elevates his game doing a single span of a few minutes. Where he got his headband knocked off. The two other best players on his team are on the bench. He takes over the game and brings his team back, and they come back and win in overtime. It was crazy.
It was good, but you only have a few at bats in baseball, whereas he took that many shots.
He did everything.
He did good.
He did everything.
Best we've ever seen, huh?
Everything.
All right, man. Best we've ever seen, man. I guess that's what you're saying about it.
It was one of the best I've ever seen, yes. Because you're thinking of whenever, he missed the 3 at the end. I'm talking about that brought them back from from down 10 with like 5 minutes to go to tied up. When he swatted Tim Duncan, came down the court, there wasn't anything anyone could do. He went straight to the basket every single time and put in a layup. Every single time. No one could stop him. No one could.
See, he went 6 for 12. Without his headband, he played for 14 minutes without his headband, so it wasn't just a little span.
Yes.
B, he went 50% shooting, 6 for 12.
As soon as he got knocked off.
Without a headband.
As soon as he got knocked
6
off.
for 12.
That was the entire span, Nick. He didn't play for the rest of the game without a headband, so that includes overtime. That includes everything.
Okay. Well, then what are you arguing,
I am talking about I'm arguing that it was one of the best spans. Like, for 2 minutes where they were down 10 to came back to 0. Then they put back Dwayne Wade in, put in Chris Bosh, and it was over.
All right, man. I'm confused.
I don't know what.
Now you started the argument talking about him without his headband was one of the best spans ever, and
yes,
now it's
as soon as from the second he got it knocked off to the second they put Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh back in, that span. Stop after that. I'm talking like before we even went into overtime. You're talking about every second that he had the headband off.
Well, it got knocked off at the 9-minute mark in the fourth quarter.
And they were getting their ass whipped. Do you recall that?
They were down 5, and when he dunked it, as he got his headband knocked off, they were down 3. So I wouldn't call that an ass whipping.
They were getting their butt whipped.
Down by 3 is getting your butt whipped in what game?
Nick.
Down 3 though?
Do you remember them being down 10 ever?
I do, but not as he got his headband knocked off. Now so the moment we're talking about now, it's earlier now, or you're switching again?
No, I'm not. I'm not switching anything.
So what's the moment that was so great? When they were down 10 and he brought him back, or when he got his headband knocked off?
Tim Duncan, the best. Nick, shut up. From the second, whenever Tim Duncan turns around to dunk at the best power forward in the game, and LeBron swats it, gets the ball, runs down the court, dunks it. Blocks the next shot, gets the ball, comes back, gets a layup. Brings the team back. They're wheeling out the trophy, man. Everyone in their mother thinks this game is over.
Let's revise. Instead of saying best span, let's say best 2-minute run. Is that acceptable for everyone?
I mean, that's basically what a span is. But sure.
I'm still confused on what span we're talking about, honestly. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I just don't know which span we're talking about.
When they were, at one point, the Heat were down 10 when Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh were on the bench. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
LeBron James was the only player worth it in the game. It was Birdman. It was Rio, who didn't score. He had a great game, but didn't score during this time frame that I am referring to. LeBron James scored 13 straight points for the Miami Heat by himself. No one else.
Okay.
I'm saying that was awesome. Period.
I'll agree. It was definitely awesome.
Like I said, it was one of the best. Yes, you can name that was better. I can too. Michael Jordan stealing from Karl Malone and coming down and crossing over Byron Russell and knocking down a free throw line jumper for his 6th ring, and then he retires afterwards. That was awesome. Yes. I can name things that were better too, but it was awesome.
It was pretty solid, I'll give you that. It was pretty good to watch, I agree.
All right, there we go.
For the player that is not clutch, like LeBron James, it was pretty sweet.
I'm glad we got that settled. That was crazy. All right.
Oh, mercy.
So,
anyways.
I immediately, as soon as Ray Allen caught that ball, was like, I've seen this movie before. God, I was so pissed. I knew it was going in. LeBron shot the ball. I was like, yes, brick. Then Bosh gets the ball, kicks it out to that Ray Allen, and I knew it was going in. Like, and it barely touched the net, guys. He was like fading away. sideways, and it didn't even hardly touch the net.
It was a beautiful shot.
If by beautiful
Yes.
you mean a baby was getting stabbed in the heart with a blunt, dull knife, is that your definition
You
of
don't
beautiful?
like Ray Allen, though.
You got to like Ray. Hobbs, you were saying some pretty awful things right now. I'm just in disagreement.
I like Ray Allen. I do. I do like Ray Allen.
All right. I disagree, but
you disagree with me liking Ray Allen.
I don't like Ray Allen as
Are
well.
you saying that? Well, that is fine if you choose not to. I don't like that he went to the Heat, obviously.
I don't know how you like him, though. You're a big Lakers fan. He hooped for the Celtics, and now he plays for the Heat. If I was you, I think I'd hate him more than I hate him right now. And I do hate him.
Because we bested him while he was at the Celtics.
That's true.
That is why. Because he can't hold the Lakers' jock.
Hobbs, are you eating a bowl of cereal right now?
No, I'm eating candy. Emily is eating a bowl of cereal. Great ears, Wilson.
What cereal? Fruit Loops? CTC?
What kind of cereal are you eating? Special K.
Ooh.
A.K.A. not cereal. She might as well be eating a loaf of bread.
How many different types of cereals did
With
you
milk.
all spend on $100 Popsicle Boy?
It wasn't $100 popsicle. We got fudge bars, bomb pops, which I ate the entire box of bomb pops last night.
Come on.
During the game. It was awesome. Those banana ones that me and Nick discovered and invented.
I'm glad you discovered those.
And they were pretty good. And those like little tube ones that you eat outside that are really good. Those ones. Piece of cake. And we only got 2 different types of cereal. She got Special K, and I got Captain Crunch berries,
There you go.
which are very underrated.
The first thing you said that we've agreed on all night.
Captain Crunch berries. Oh yeah.
Ooh. Did you guys know that Harvard University Library has 4 books bound in human skin, which is gross?
That's disgusting.
That's the definition of ooey.
It's so nasty.
No.
What
Where does
about-
the
what
game
about-
rank all time in NBA?
I don't know.
I
To be
think-
fair, we've seen a very minute amount of the NBA, but as far as you know, our adult lifetimes where we've actually known and been able to pay attention to NBA games, it's got to be.
I mean, as far as like the moment, like Ray Allen's 3, like it's like Jordan's jumper crossing up Russell. I'd say Magic Johnson's hook shot. I don't want to sound biased, but I mean, it was pretty sweet. Like his player and mentor and one of the greatest players to ever play taught him that, and then hit it against the biggest rivalry in maybe all of sports.
I think
I thought that was pretty huge.
in the last 10 years, it's probably, if not the best, the second best game I've seen in the
Oh,
life.
it's by far the best. There's nothing in the last 10 years. There's
Derek
nothing
Fisher.
close.
Derek Fisher.
Derek
0.4
Fisher's
seconds.
was sweet, but I
0.4
think
seconds.
yeah, that was sweet.
It's better.
I don't want to be.
I don't even think it's close. 0.4 seconds, he's fading away, turning around. I'm sorry, Wilson, but there's no way that Ray Allen shot was better.
I'm not just going off Ray Allen's shot. I'm talking about the game, how it went back and forth and back and forth. I'm talking about
The game is by far the game. I would give the moment to Derek Fisher because it's 0.4 seconds and it's Derek Fisher and he's fading away and it was stupid silly. But and also against the Spurs, poor guys. But as far as the game, it goes to the Heat and Spurs because I mean they or the Lakers and Spurs. It was like right before Fisher hit that shot. I don't know if y'all remember, but Tim Duncan hit a free throw line jumper that put him in that situation.
Yeah.
So that game was like back and forth, all over the place too.
I was watching,
but like since it's in the moment, it's gonna feel like the Spurs Heat was the best. Like, I'm kind of biased because I hate the Heat so much, and so it was like, oh my God, they're gonna lose. Oh my God, now they're gonna win. Oh my God, I don't know what's gonna happen. Shit, they won. Like, it was just everywhere.
It was pretty nuts, and I think as a culture, we kind of tend to put the most recent things a little higher than they maybe deserve, just because they just happened and we're reacting to them as we speak.
Yes.
And I do think yes,
and we can't remember everything.
Right. I mean, and that's not saying
we can't remember exactly how we felt when Derek Fisher hit his shot.
Right, and there's been a lot of really good games, in NBA Finals, a lot of close games that went back and forth and went to overtime, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, it was a fantastic game. Yes, it was a fantastic shot. But to put it as the best of all time or the best of the last 10, 15 years, it just can't happen. And I'm not letting it happen. And if that's fair.
Yet. If it's still awesome 10 years down the road and we still remember it. But I say there are great games in sports all the time, and then 5 years down the road I remember one aspect of it.
Exactly.
For the Bluegrass Miracle. The Bluegrass Miracle, for example, when LSU threw a 76-yard touchdown against us and beat us in the last second. I don't remember I remember that game being fantastic and thinking we were going to win the entire time and then losing. But I could not tell you any other aspect other than watching the play, that last play.
Me too.
Ethan Strauss of ESPN.
And even whenever we beat LSU.
In
football.
Ethan Strauss.
I just remember us stopping them on fourth down. Sorry, Wilson, go ahead.
Me too, man.
Ethan Strauss of ESPN.com said that last night was the best playoff game since the 1976 Suns-Celtics triple overtime game.
There's no way, man. No way.
Yeah.
And then, let's see here. What's his name? Adri Torres of ESPN.
It was a great game, but go ahead.
ESPN Deportes says that as a fan, he thinks the NBA playoffs have last excitement since the Golden State-Dallas series this year. And over the years, there's been some games that have left us wanting more. But this Game 6, as far as he goes in the last couple of years, was great.
And it was, man. And it just goes back to what I'm saying.
That Warriors...
You're good, man. Keep going.
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't even think that Warriors-Mavericks series was that awesome, to be honest. Isn't that when the 8 beat the 1 for the first time? Is that what that was?
Maybe.
I believe so. I think that's what that's referring to. And that wasn't even that, that has one defining moment in it. Actually, I don't think it does. I don't even think it has one. It was just oh my God, a crappy team beat a good team, supposedly the best team. Because, if you remember that year, the Mavericks were getting compared to...
Hobbs, are you there?
I think it was 72-10.
Yeah, he's getting...
Yes, I'm talking.
You're coming in and out, man.
I'm cutting out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not my fault. But, I didn't think that series was that great. It was just, a crappy team, but, then, at the time, it was good, because, it had never happened before, but hasn't it happened again since? Maybe? Could I be dreaming that?
I think what it is that's part of what we do, That's part of what everybody does with sports nowadays, is something amazing and something great happens, and we instantly want to say that it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. It's the LeBron James argument right now. LeBron is the best player in the NBA. He's a great player. He's a fantastic player. And everybody wants to say he's better than Michael Jordan because he was the last great player. I mean, it's what happened when Kobe first came out. Everybody wanted to say he was better than Michael Jordan. because Michael Jordan was the last great player. So you're going to have a great game, and everybody's going to say, where does this game rank? And I think there's a difference between going and saying this game is an instant classic and saying that this game is the greatest game of all time. I will say this is the best NBA playoff game I think I've ever watched, and that includes watching my favorite team win an NBA championship. And it might have to do with the fact that my favorite team was playing last night and they won that great game. But I mean, just the overall drama and edge of your seat there for that last end of the fourth quarter, it was outstanding because it looked like the Heat were going to lose. Like Hobbs said, they were wheeling out the trophy. And then all of a sudden the Heat came back. And then it looked like the Heat were going to run away with it. And then the Suns came back. And then went into overtime. It was a great game. It was definitely an instant classic. It was definitely the best playoff game in the last 10 years. But as far as where's it stand of all time, it's hard to tell. And you'll never be able to really tell with things like that, just like you won't ever be able really to tell LeBron better than Jordan.
Yeah, and I would argue
it's completely opinionated.
Yeah, it's probably, I doubt it's even the best one in the last 10 years, man. And maybe it is. I'm not sure. I haven't watched, that much NBA over the past 10 years. So, and that kind of thing is all relative anyway. Some people are going to think that is going to be better or worse than other games. As far as the guy on ESPN saying it is, I mean, of course he's going to say that. Who's going to read an article saying, oh, this is a pretty average game as compared to an article saying it's the best of all time? Yeah. That's just how the
this was the seventh best game ever. Like, seriously, they're going to say this was the best thing ever.
Right.
But just thinking just off the Lakers games that I watched, because it wasn't till recently, the past last year, maybe. I watched every playoff game. But it used to be I just only watched the Lakers. I can remember like Nick said, the Derek Fisher one. I remember when Robert Horry hit a game winner as time expired, mind you. There was still time left when Ray Allen hit his three, and at the end of overtime, and there was plenty of time. Robert Horry hit a three. If he made it, you win. If he misses, you lose. If he made it, you walk up the court, you win. Well, there's a difference in Ray Allen's. Yes, he needed to hit the three, but the Spurs still had an opportunity after the three, and then in overtime to tie it up themselves. That wasn't the end-all, be-all shot. But had he missed, it would have been. But since he made it, it wasn't. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What am I completely blowing it out my ass?
What do you all think about the Miami Heat fans who left the game early thinking that the Heat were going to lose?
They're jackasses. I think that was part of I don't want to sound like I'm the Illuminati bullshit or whatever, but it seemed like the media was trying to hype up that that it was over. They wanted people to think it was over. I remember they're one of the commentators was like, oh my gosh, the Heat's backs against the wall. It was a 2-point game. Granted that yes, they were in a fouling situation, but it was a 2-point game. And they're sitting there saying how tough it is for them to come back. All they needed them to do was for them to miss one free throw, which occurred, and then to hit a three, which also occurred. It wasn't that unfeasible. Yeah, it was, the odds were against them, but it wasn't impossible. And they just kept talking about it, and they bring out the trophy, and it shows the Spurs bench going crazy. I never ever thought that it was over. I guess I always try to imagine the craziest thing that could happen, so that the team who is winning or who is losing can come back and win. But I never counted the Heat out ever.
I completely agree with you, man. And as you guys know, having watched several, sporting events with me, especially games in which Kentucky's down, I'm always the guy saying, hey, it's not over yet, quit freaking out. I'm always that guy. You guys are the Logan, yes. Or you sometimes are saying, it's over, man, it's over, let's turn it off. I'm like, man, it's not over yet, we got plenty of time, we're coming back. I'm always that guy. And so, I of course didn't really think it was over for sure. And, in the NBA, it's a game of runs anyway, especially when you've got guys like D. Wade, and LeBron James that can take it over at any moment. And like you said, have a spurt that, instantly puts him back in the game. It's always going to be possible. And, especially like you said, when they were only down 2 or 3 towards the end, like you said, it only needs a few things to happen for it to work out that way. But as far as the announcers and stuff goes, yeah, I kind of noticed that a little bit too. I guess you have to kind of, remember that it's their job to make it seem exciting. It's their job to keep the fans excited and to hype it up. So I guess that's what they were trying to do, maybe without even realizing they were doing it. But right. that's just part of it. They're trying to hype it up and make it seem more fantastic and more amazing than it is. Not that it wasn't fantastic and amazing, because it certainly was.
Well, where I was going with it is that after the game, was over, they asked Chris Bosh what he thought about it. And he actually said that all of those fans who left the game early don't need to show up for Game 7 because he doesn't want them there.
Like, how do you
like you shouldn't?
What did you say, Hobbs?
Like, how do you like?
Hobbs? Nick?
We can't hear you, Hobbs.
All right, I was going to say, am I the only one here?
Can you hear me?
What?
Maybe. Sort of.
Man just come to your house and kidnap you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Kinda, a little bit. It sounds like you're in a tunnel of despair.
Awesome. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it sounds like you're talking through 4 boxes of Kleenexes.
I'm loving the metaphors here.
Like whenever it was a 3-point game. This was like whenever they showed the graphic, it was right before Ray Allen hit the 3. Right before. And these bastards are sprinting out.
Exactly.
Like, I don't leave the building unless we've got a win secured. Unless we're up like 30.
I don't ever like leaving games early. I don't care if we're up by 50. I like to just stay till the end because
I don't like to, but I do.
Especially as much as they paid for NBA Finals tickets.
Well, that's
no kidding.
Not to mention, I think, and I'm
that should be the main thing.
I'm not trying to say anything to anybody or anything like that, but I feel like when you leave a game early, or you leave anything early, say you leave a performance at the ballet early or something like that, I just feel like it's disrespectful to people who come there and they put everything out on the line for that. I mean, I understand you're in Miami and you got traffic to beat and everything like that, but I mean, at the same time, you shelled out a lot of money to come watch these guys play, and you know what? Maybe they lose, but that's still, they still went out there and played a game for you. And they got you to this point.
Not to mention, like, if you're at a playoff game, you're a sports fan. And whenever you pay to see, like, this type of ticket, if I paid that much for a ticket, I would not want to see a blowout. I would want to see what happened, that Ray Allen shot. That is what, like, I hope happens every time I pay for an event.
You and me both.
Nick, what do you think?
And they leave before it occurs.
Nick, what do you think about Chris Bosh's comments about not showing up for Game 7?
Well, obviously that's not going to happen. If they have tickets already purchased, there's no way they can turn them away. But, I mean, that's a joke. It really and truly is. And a lot of them were leaving, with just a few minutes left when the game was far from over. Like, did they think a 5-6 point lead with a few minutes left was insurmountable? Like, I mean, I don't get what was going through their head. Was beating traffic that important to you that you really thought there was no chance they were coming back? Like, I completely befuddled about what was going through their minds, for one. But as far as Chris Bosh said, yeah, I would hope they would. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't. If I was playing, I certainly wouldn't want any of them to come back. But it's not like they took the names and numbers of the people that were leaving as they were leaving, so, I mean, they have no idea. But that's just pathetic. I mean, it's not good sportsmanship, as Hobbs was saying. You're just, slapping your team in the face at the time in which they need you most, and when they deserve to be credited the most, the NBA Finals, and you're walking out on them. Like, that's piss poor fanhood in my opinion.
Yes. I don't know about you guys, but I ain't ever leaving the ballet early.
Never.
Never.
I'm not leaving until
Not even. I'm not even thinking about leaving the ballet until every car is out of the street.
I mean,
and the roses are on the stage, and it's far over.
let me paint a picture for you here.
NBA Finals, I mean, maybe, but the ballet, no.
Let me paint a picture here for you. It's February of 2009, and you're at a Region 5 girls basketball tournament. If the Nelson County Lady Cards are down by 5 with a minute left and you leave the caution crew, Josh Wilson will not let you back in to the caution crew next week. Not even a little bit.
and I would be mad at you if you let him back in.
And if I see you leave the ballet that I'm at, I'm yelling at you. I'm calling you out by name.
You ain't coming back for the Nutcracker.
To be fair, I have left a few Kentucky football games just a wee bit early, but I've never left them we're within like 20.
To be fair,
you and Logan left the Florida game that we were down 28-0 at halftime. You left at halftime.
Why would we stay? We had beer to steal.
We were down 28.
We left real early.
God, we suck.
If we're within 20 in football,
I saw Tebow get hurt.
I didn't.
But if you would have stayed, you would have saw Tebow get his head knocked off.
I might not have.
Wyndham.
And I was hammered.
You probably wouldn't have made it. You're right. You were half past dead.
Let's talk about NBA coaching jobs.
Brian Shaw deserves a head coaching job. That's all I have to say about that.
So does what's his name that was the coach of the Grizzlies?
Lionel Hollins.
Yes, he led them to their best record ever and gets fired.
George Karl
gets fired.
I mean, George Karl needs a job.
George Karl is probably top 10 coaches of all time.
I mean, he was NBA Coach of the Year.
All of these crappy teams with no-name coaches like my Pelicans and like the Bobcats and like, what are they doing? Like, fire your freaking coach and get any of these.
The Bobcats did fire the coach.
What?
The Bobcats did fire their coach.
Okay, I'm glad they listened to me just in time.
But like George Karl, after everything he's been through, he'll retire before he goes coaching some shitbox team.
That may be true.
He may end up at a better job anyways.
George Karl to the Celtics. Write it down right now.
No. He's like Doc Rivers, dude. He ain't gonna take no rebuilding job. I'd say George Karl to the Grizzlies.
That wouldn't be
bad.
Like
George Karl and Lionel Hollins might just switch.
Leaving Kentucky was Rick Pitino's greatest move ever, huh?
There's an interview back in the day where he said it was his biggest regret of his life.
Exactly. So, I was going to say, it was when he first took the job at Louisville. He said leaving Kentucky was the stupidest thing he's ever done. End quote.
So, yeah, I mean, and we all know Pitino's the biggest liar of all time, so. You have to
I don't take as big of offense to that as other people seem to be.
I don't either.
I'd love to just rip the guy for it, but I mean, what the hell else is he supposed to say?
Well, I mean, it's just like
he's at his old school rival's place. Like he has to say that.
It's just like when they asked Mitch Barnhart about Louisville's year, and he said they were having an okay year. What else is he supposed to say? He's the athletic director for the University of Kentucky. He's not going to say, yeah, they're doing great things and we want to model after their success. So, I mean, I'm not that upset about it either.
Right.
But I will say that he said before that it was the stupidest thing he's ever done.
Pitino was supposed to, he's not even supposed to take a jab. He's just like, hey. Right, if you get fired from another job and you get a new job, you don't say, well, I'd much rather be at my old job, but I'm at this one now.
That would be so bad.
So this one's better. You just say, hey, I'm here now, and I'm so lucky to be here.
Well, I mean, I definitely think...
No, if you say, I'd much rather to be a Kentucky, but I mean, Louisville's okay too. Like, they might throw you out on your ass.
Yeah, but
they probably won't, but you'll get crucified for it, and your fans will hate you.
Yeah, but I mean, he also didn't have to say it was the greatest thing he's ever done because I mean, his Celtics career wasn't.
No, but like everything Pitino does is like we were talking about earlier, is a comparison to the greatest thing that's ever occurred. Like he says Mike Marr is the best 3-point shooter he's ever seen, and Montrezl Harrell is the best all-around player since Jamal Mashburn. Like, it's the best since.
I mean, right.
Everything for Pitino. Like, that's just the way the guy is.
Yeah, and every game that he's about to play is the biggest game he's ever coached for, right?
Biggest game he's ever
exactly.
played. And
that's just how he is. And
whenever he won at Louisville, it was the best thing he's ever done. Like, everything. Like, that's just the way the guy is. That's not necessarily a knock on him. It kind of is. Like, he's kind of a douche for it, but, like, that's just the way the guy is. He just compares everything that has ever existed to the best thing that's ever occurred.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but he is going to get some backlash for it, and it will make for, I mean, but also,
Kentucky's going to crush.
You got to think also, he had to do it because of how many Kentucky jabs that aren't true.
Like, what if Cal said, I regret leaving Memphis, I should have stayed there. Like, what if he said that? Like, all right, asshole, get out of town.
Yeah, no, it's, like I said, what I think is, you know, what other people were like, oh, Mitch Barnhart said this, and this. I think it's building into what is going to be a highly anticipated UK-Louisville matchup this year.
And it should
when we knock the dog out of them.
The absolutely total and complete poopy right out of them.
I'm not kidding. We're going to him so hard.
We're going to run him out of the gym.
But I wanted to say it. And Indiana's lucky because we...
Oh, yeah, Indiana's going to be off this year.
We would have destroyed them.
And Andrew Wiggins. Ain't nobody scared of your ass. I wish you had you, though, because you good. You real good. By the way, I saw Julius Randle on campus.
Big guy?
Big old man. Oh my God, walked past him. Unreal.
Well, let's hope
it's one thing to be tall, but to be just a big old honking man. Everything about him is big.
All right.
Alabama's going to win the college football championship again.
I mean, who else would you pick? Who else would you pick?
I mean, they're going to be so good it's not even real. They're going to easily. Like, you could jump on the Johnny Manziel wagon if you wanted to. But you'd be an idiot.
What about the, let me ask you this question. What do you guys think about these rumors about Nerlens' draft stock because of his entourage and hanging out with bad dudes?
Well, I mean, it's whatever. I don't think he's going to be the greatest pro anyway. But who else are you going to draft? Like, I don't get that. There's this. Who's the foreign guy?
At least with Nerlens, you know exactly what you're going to get. You know exactly. Like, if you were going to, if you're drafting Nerlens with the thought that you're drafting a 20-10 guy, you're an idiot, and you need to reevaluate your lifestyle.
But there's not any 20-10 guys.
The guy will never average. There's probably not in this entire draft.
Here's the thing.
Probably not really.
Here's the thing I don't understand about this. How are you going to say that a kid who takes a child with cancer to the Derby, a kid who hangs out with elderly people in a retirement home, a kid who does something extra special for, you know, Lane Goodwin, who has passed on now. How are you going to take this kid who's done all these good things and say he hangs out with a bad crowd?
But I agree with you on that, but the DeMarcus Cousins did the same thing. And like DeMarcus he hasn't killed somebody, but he isn't exactly like.
But even DeMarcus didn't go to the lengths that Nerlens did. Like Nerlens did it on his own. DeMarcus did things with the teams.
Right.
This was really good with the kids. Nerlens went out on his own and did things without the team. Just did them.
Right. I don't know. I think, but like, because of things that have occurred and how much importance rides on these teams drafting players, like, character should be involved. Like, if you want to pass on Nerlens Noel, because, like, if you draft Nerlens Noel on anything, it should be his character. And if you don't want to draft him based on his character, then I guess that's your choice, but you're an idiot. There's plenty of reasons not to draft Nerlens. Like, you could make a viable argument to me, and I will completely understand for you not wanting to draft him. But for his character isn't one of them.
Exactly.
In my opinion. What do you think about the college lawsuit that could change college sports as we know it?
It's a great idea, man. I'd love to start playing some college basketball games again.
Yes, but it goes a little bit further than that. But that's, to be honest, that's all I care about. But like, it will eventually come down to like college basketball players, college athletes being paid,
which should have happened a long time ago.
Right. They're like slaves, man. Like as much as the organization uses their image, uses like anything that reveals with them, that's like stealing, basically.
Yeah,
it started with the Fab Five, and it's been relevant ever since.
Yeah, and it truly has. It's a joke. It's a freaking joke.
I think they should be paid. And like even like us as college students, like we are allowed to have jobs. They aren't. Like they have to,
be in the gym all the time and work.
Yes, they have to practice all day long, and they're not allowed to have practice. Most of them are out of scale. Like, how do they afford things?
Well, what about?
I hate to say it, but most of them are probably cheating.
What about this though?
Yeah.
You have this lawsuit which may destroy. I mean, not really, but it's a legit threat to destroy the NCAA. Then you have prominent coaches like
I'm one of those people. Why do we need the NCAA?
Well, you have
there needs to be like some governing body, but
you have
why do they need the NCAA?
You have prominent coaches like John Calipari saying what we need to break away from the NCAA. Is it crazy to think that in our lifetime we might see college athletics without the NCAA?
Oh, certainly. I'm not sure.
No, it's not crazy, and I think we will.
I'd say in our lifetime, it'll definitely, whether or not we break away from the NCAA, that remains to be seen. But something drastic is going to change, and whether it be the NCAA be shifted to something else, or us go with a completely different entity, something's going to happen, and I would go to say it's going to be within the next 15, 20 years than in our lifetime, which I guess 15 or 20 years is within our lifetime, hopefully.
Right.
I sure hope I live that long.
But like, even like, I don't know if it'll be like no NCAA, but this lawsuit could like change the way we see the NCAA as we know it as a governing institution.
Yeah.
Like and rightfully so. And let's be honest, they're probably going to lose. I don't see how they can't lose. Like, they're completely guilty. It's all going to be on, like, whether they're allowed to use those kids' images or not. Whether basically they own these people or not.
The thing is, like, as far as this goes with, hopefully I can make it through here without my voice breaking. The thing is, with the NCAA and with the thought of suing the NCAA, with the thought of breaking away from the NCAA, it's all we've ever known. It's kind of like saying, let's sue the president. Like, it's the governing body. It's what you live under as far as college athletics. And I mean, you have the NCCAA and you have the NAIA and things like that. So it's not the only thing. But I mean, it would be like, the Lakers suing the NBA. Like, it's the organization. Like, it's unheard of, and it's kind of crazy to think that we might see. I mean, and not to sound dramatic, but the beginning of the end of the NCAA, which I'm totally for because I think the NCAA is a bunch of rich old white dudes who are a bunch of douchebags.
So what about if the NCAA is no more, and like say another tournament is the biggest, or say the NIT is once again reigns supreme? What happens to Kentucky's 8, soon to be 9 national titles? Is that is our great grandchildren? Our great grandchildren?
No, we'll still have.
Oh no, Kentucky doesn't have the second most titles anymore because they'll be going by NIT titles.
Well, I think what it is that
because we part of our national championships are NIT titles.
I think
they just count whichever one is most relevant.
But none of our
considered most relevant at the time when you won.
No, none of the 8 are.
Yeah,
NITs. No,
they're all
because the first one that we won back in the day, the NIT, was the tournament to go to, and the NCAA tournament wasn't that big of a deal. But all of the 8 are NCAA. If you look at the banner, they say NCAA champions.
Right. We've got 2 NITs, 8 NCAA, and I think 3 or 4 Helms titles, which North Carolina I think counts one of their titles as Helms titles, which is really weird.
Right.
But I think we've got 3 of those as well. So if we were counting Helms and NIT titles, we'll have like 50.
Yeah, but what I was saying is, I think if that was to happen, we would still count those and we would still talk about that as part of our history because, like I said, this is unprecedented. This is breaking away from, in a way, and this is going to sound even more dramatic, this is the colonies breaking away from the monarchy, because it's something that hasn't been done and they're trying to get away. It's going to be innovative. It's going to be, whoever does it first, they're going to be innovators and they're going to change the game because it's like saying, we don't need the NCAA. We don't need your rules violation. But there's the thing. All of a sudden, if there's no NCAA, what about rules violations? What about things like that? What about cheating? What about, it's crazy.
Well, there has to be some sort of governing body, otherwise it'll just be out of control. But, I want the I can't remember that dude's name, but I want the sole person to win. I want the NCAA to lose, but also I want players to be able to get paid. But
what would be different? What would be different if there was no NCAA? If the NCAA dissolved and there was no NCAA next year. Why couldn't all the athletic directors, call each other, hey, let's schedule to play next year? Why couldn't it all be the same as it is right now? Why do we have to have an NCAA who legitimately does nothing anyway except collect money? They don't enforce.
There would be.
They don't. There's a couple guys that look over the people that do wrongdoings, and even then, it takes them 20 years to find out that the Miami was cheating. Then another 10 to decide, okay, we're going to do something about it, and then another 5 that decide, oh, never mind, we aren't going to do anything about it, but make them not go to bowl games for a year. Why do we need someone doing that? We don't.
Other than their threat of being able to do something to someone, i.e. Penn State,
yeah.
Unless there's this fear of repercussions that will come from your actions, there's nothing they can do.
Well, that's
And especially when they're so hypocritical that whenever it's completely if it's Joe Schmo that gets in trouble, we'll give them the chair. But if it's Duke, we'll look the other way.
Well,
because Lance Thomas had $100,000 worth of jewelry. He couldn't afford that. He was from a poor ass family and he was a college student. He couldn't afford it. Where the hell did he get the money?
Those reasons.
Corey Maggette was the same exact reason.
Those reasons are the exact reasons why.
North Carolina with the African American Studies Department that was completely fraudulent and didn't even really exist.
Fraudulent classes, but the NCAA
fraudulent degrees. That's a joke.
He doesn't
get trouble for it. Whereas
what class
They've got people like that, and you've got.
But you can jurisdict what Derrick Rose. Yeah.
Exactly.
But you can jurisdict what Derrick Rose did or didn't do on his ACT before college. Okay.
Exactly.
Those are the exact reasons why people are saying to break away from the NCAA, and I don't think it has anything with trying to get rid of like that. But I mean, I think the NCAA is going to have to reinvent itself coming up soon because there's some shakeups going on, and it's going to change some things. And I mean, that's the thing.
They're going to have to rewrite the book because there's so much bullshit in it. Like, literally you can get a bagel, but you cannot get like cream cheese or something. Like something so specific, so stupid.
Well, that's awesome. I want to see that. If you can find that, I want to see that. That's awesome.
Yes. Like I don't know if it's like, if that's quote unquote, but like Matt Jones was talking about it. He's like, literally, there was something about allowing them, you could like feed them a bagel, but they have to pay for the topping, like the cream cheese or whatever they put on it. And my mouth just dropped, and I was like, you serious?
That's awesome.
Holy. But apparently that's legitimate. You ain't no cream cheese worth having.
Well, you heard it here first, fellas.
No cream cheese for
in the next 10 to 15 years, NCAA will be gone.
We hope so.
I think they will be.
I don't think they're not gone. It'll be completely different.
If not, I don't know about gone. But the NCAA that we have now will be dramatically different.
Okay, here's what we can do.
Completely reasons. Like the rule book really is in the process of being completely rewritten because they did like some self-investigation, like looked themselves in the mirror and said, "Hey, we're full of no cream cheese on your waffle." And by waffle, I mean buffet.
All right, Nick, go ahead.
They're stupid. It's stupid, and they're
we'll disband the National Collegiate Athletic Association and replace it with a new and improved and better NCAA, Nick's Collegiate Athletic Association.
and
then, we'll have the entire football season will be a tournament. We won't need bowl games or 4-game playoffs or 8-game playoffs. We won't have any arguing to do. We'll just do the bracket at the beginning of the season and have a 12-week playoff system for college football.
What?
And
wait a sec.
And the seeding will.
So what happens if you lose? You get a 1-game season?
No, I mean we'll literally determine every position. Like, so the last game of the year you'll have a 112th place game. And you'll have a championship game all on the same Saturday. Maybe not. Maybe we'll have like the top couple games. We'll have the top few games, set apart, for revenue purposes. But no, if you lost your first game, you go down to the losers bracket and play in the 50 ranked and below team games.
Like college football is a mess, but like college basketball, I wouldn't change hardly anything.
There's no need to. But
like with the system, like the tournament is awesome. There's a not-in tournament. There's like 7 different tournaments. Some that like we don't really even know about. Like it's awesome.
And the
NCAA tournament is awesome. The season's pretty quick.
We would change the tournament back to 64 teams because these playing games are pretty stupid.
That I can agree with that.
What about the playing games?
The RPI system is pretty stupid.
Oh, it's a joke. Like, but the 10th seeds playing in or the 12 seeds, like, why aren't all the playing games the 16 seed games? Like, it's gotten really stupid.
I agree.
So dumb.
All right.
Just vote me as collegiate commissioner, and I will fix all the athletic programs. And I'll have Louisville on a permanent ban. Like, we'll just kick them out. They can play in the NCAA or some shit. Nothing. We'll let them in. We'll leave them in because we gotta play them.
But we'll just vacate everything of theirs.
Right. There you go.
Just vacate it. Like you may have won the national championship, but according to our records, there was no national champion in the year 2013.
And yeah, exactly.
In fact, the year 2013 didn't exist.
We're going to vacate the entire 2013 season.
Yeah.
Sorry, Florida.
So Indiana cut the nets for a Sweet 16 bid for no reason. Tisk.
What about that shit? That's pathetic.
All right, fellas.
They cut down the nets after losing on senior night. Like I wouldn't even have cut the nets. I'd have been like, no thanks, coach. I'm good on that.
Yeah, Tommy.
Okay, so this has been the 4FanSports podcast. We are back and better than ever. So I'm Josh Wilson, and for Nick Rapier.
We may be better than ever, but we can't go ahead and say that we're the best of all time ever.
And Tyler Hobbs.
What he said. Twice.
And this has been the 4FanSports podcast. And keep moving forward.
Throw it in reverse.
There we go.
All right.